Well, good morning. I'm
Morning.
here today with Bruce Kellogg. Not only is he a friend, he's been a mentor, and in past we worked together at Unity of Vancouver. So we partnered in life there for a few years, and it was such a wonderful connection. And we've stayed friends, and I'm here today to interview Bruce, and I just want to say that he's a kind man, a man with integrity, and what I've realized is I love people like Bruce. He brings joy to my heart. So Bruce has a thread running through his life. For many, many years, actually over 40 years since his 20s, he has what you would say, through his expression and experience, simply calls a helper and a server. So, Bruce, with that introduction, can you tell me a little bit more about that? What it is for you to be a helper and a server for so many?
Well, I think my conscious path began when I was about 16 years old. I had a major occurrence of spirit um, overshadowing me and creating a crisis, but also an opportunity for me to choose a deeper and higher path. And in that search, in that unfoldment, there was an unveiling, really, of a deeper understanding of who I was and also of who others are in terms of being human and also what I would say being divine. Um, that
Mm.
that term gets kicked around a great deal and highly
Mhm.
misunderstood, but basically, divine points to a deeper self. And so that slender thread, as you named it, has been there my whole life, which has called me to follow it and to allow it to unfold in me, and then created a way of life, really, of service to bring that forth in other people, to see them as basically a soul in a body. And that may sound strange to some folks, but in my experience, my felt knowing, we are souls in a body. And we get confused sometimes about that process, and we get enmeshed with the world and the forms of the world and the desires of the mind and the heart. And yet behind that is a ever-present presence that is our core, and that core is good.
Mhm.
That core is who we actually are. And my work in pastoral counseling and ministry and social work before that has always been to hold space and to draw forth that within people.
And not only for elders, but for children as well. You have quite an expansive history in social work. But prior to that, were you not in the military as well?
Yeah, I was on the U.S. Coast Guard, and I
Mhm.
was a corpsman, a hospital corpsman in the Army. That would be a medic.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, it was a very dynamic act of position. I mean, I didn't want to be in the military to, you know, defend. I wanted to promote people's well-being, and
Mhm.
that's the slender thread that's been throughout my life, uh, because of my feeling sense of what people are and what we are all uh, moving towards and moving. It's an unveiling, it's a remembering, it is a process of uh, becoming. We already are what we're seeking, but there is an uncovering of our essential nature.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really at the core of my work with people, always has been, is to uncover what Charles Fillmore, the founder of Unity, the Unity movement, co-founder, said, we are about the work of releasing the imprisoned splendor. And so that's what it's about for me.
So you champion for individuals and groups of people to do that uncovering. Is that a way to speak it? You're a guide or a champion to help people, because sometimes we get lost and we don't know the way. We don't know a path. We get stumble and fall.
Well, I can say that I've gotten lost too, but it's all been, it's kind of like the image of a labyrinth. You know, people can talk about the labyrinth and point to it and stand on the outer rim, the circumference of it, and say, wow, that's a nice labyrinth. But until you step into it and you start to make your way towards the center, that is the path of the spirit. And my quest, my function is really as a guide. Perhaps I've never thought of myself as a guide, but as a pointer, perhaps towards the center, and a promoter of people as they walk that walk. And we do get confused, and yet that's part of the path too. It's almost like a divine disappointment, where we come to a place, we have all the goods and everything that we want, and then we go, is this all there is? And that's an invitation to go deeper. And so there's nothing wrong with any of that, because it's all part of the path work of the soul.
What would that look like, Bruce, for someone if they came to you and said, this is what's happening in my life? What is some of the process that you I love the term guide for you, because I'm going to back up. I know you take these long, amazing walks, and I know you're thinking the whole time. So if someone were to walk with you on this journey of finding out maybe where they want to go and can't get there, or they're bumping into a wall somewhere, what process do you use to help someone, to guide someone?
There was in ministerial school 20 years ago, 21 years ago now, there was a process where all of us, 25 of the ministerial students, were asked to pair up with another student and ask an essential question: what do you want? And, you know, it was a process of reductionism, because some would say, well, I want a big church, or I want a flourishing ministry, whatever. And then they would be asked again, what do you want? And then it would be a repetition of that question over and over again. And it was interesting, because at the end of that exercise, where both parties had spoken, all of us came back, and the facilitator said, what was the conclusion? And all of us, it was interesting, we all said to love and to be loved. And so we all have this quest to love and to be loved. And so it is a process of letting go, of separating, as the old metaphor goes, the wheat from the chaff. And the chaff is the identifications that we have, as it says, this is who I am. And the question arises, well, what do you really want? And if you reduce that down, I think that the therapeutic process is really reducing down to a very, very basic level. Well, reduced down is to, when we ask the question, what do we want? We have to kind of zero in on asking ourselves, who am I? Am I my identity of the world, which is necessary? And the personality, it means, person means persona, the mask that we have. So nothing wrong with any of that. Even on the egoic level, Carl Jung said we need an ego to be an integrated person in the world. But then there is the soul that resides within that. And for me, my observations and experience is that, and working with people for a long time now, is that's what they want. That's what they want. They want to uncover the false identities that they have been caught up in, and they want to get to the essence of who it is that they actually are, and that is the soul. So I would say my work is working with people on the soul level, to let go of the false and to bring forth the real truth.
I think one of your mentors is the Joseph Campbell and the hero's journey. Can you tell me more about that?
Well, the hero's journey is that each person is already the hero of their own lives. They just have forgotten, and so it's a process of remembering and cultivating the great truth of the self, because we really don't have to go anywhere. And people want to go on pilgrimages to Mount Shasta or wherever. They want to find something.
Yes.
But there's really nothing to find except for the self, which is the fulfillment of their heart's desire. All of our heart's desire is just to simply be within that. And in Western culture, there really isn't a affirmation of that process. People could say, well, go do what you need to do, but then come back and perform. You need to perform in order to make your way, which is, it's orderly and good. But the emphasis, in my thinking, in my experience, is that seek first the kingdom, and all else will be added unto you. Find that first.
Are you with today's world? I know many people are in quite a bit of angst over the politics, over what we have now, the pandemic COVID-19, and a lot of people are flailing. Some people are actually doing quite well, depends on where they're at. But for the people that are flailing and they're trying to identify with something and they're kind of drowning, do you have something you can share with them that would be maybe helpful for them to start with? And also what the next question will be, what are you offering right now for people who are in this place of drowning, maybe, in what's going on?
What I would offer people in terms of the current situation with the world and our mutual experience is that this is happening for us to get real, to get clear in terms of who we are. And people, unless they have cultivated an inner life, are so identified with the world, and if their world is falling apart, the solution, in my experience, is to say, well, okay, who am I within this context? And that's a big question. Who am I within COVID? Who am I within the politics? Am I going to give my power, personal power, away to these issues and things that are happening? they're very dramatic. Everybody is experiencing all of these things. My answer, at least for my own life, is to go within. There's an old saying, go within or go without. And yeah, if we go without, then we have an identity of the world, and we can be kind of pushed around by the images that are fed to us through media. If we go within, we can find a place to stand within our own being that is a place of discernment that says, well, maybe, or maybe not. Maybe there's a higher and deeper truth that's going on. And it's a very critical period of time that we're living in. And that's why I have had an interest and a desire to bring forth this counseling online to help people to make their way through it and to help them to discern their actual nature, what it is that they really want, and to be that, so that their world, as it breaks down, they can have a breakthrough instead of breaking down themselves. That's an ongoing, really daily, even moment to moment quest. That is the hero's journey, to identify with the actual self, come what dragons may, come what demons may. Demons are the demons of the mind, the thought forms of the mind. And a person can say, well, you can, I'm not going to give you any energy. I'm not going to say yes to that image in my head. There's an old saying that says, the voice in the head is not me. I am that which chooses to entertain that voice or not. Knowing this, I am free. So we have, that's where free will comes in. And I'm a big promoter of free will, free agency, sovereignty of the individual. And my work is to behold that within the person that I'm going to be working with, to behold their sovereignty and their greatness and their beauty, not their problems. Problems and issues and appearances are just simply lesson learning opportunities.
So it sounds like you hold people to the toes to the fire, in a sense, for getting out of the blame game. Because a lot of people will blame something else without looking at themselves. Is that something that you're helping people to see, that there's no one to blame, not even themselves, but to just open their eyes a little bit further and like you said, look within?
Well, there's really no payoff to blame. You don't walk away from blaming others or blaming ourselves with any real graduation into a higher, more objective place of soul. There's an additional old saying that says you move from victim to victor to venerable teacher. And each person has their own venerable teacher within them. And they can be victorious if they let go of the victim. You know, because we all have entertained. It's like, what's going on here? It seems like everything's against me. Well, no, there's just a catalytic process that's happening that is asking of us to go into a deeper place.
When you have conversations with someone and they might reach out to you, what would that look like? Is it a conversation that you have over a period of time? Is it, do you have a classroom setting on Zoom? How are you helping people? What is that going to look like?
Well, I have a few clients right now, a few people that I work with on an ongoing sense. I'm at a place now, having just moved from Missouri to Oregon, we're settled in now, so there I can begin this. It is, who knows where it's going to go. It could be online Zoom classes. Right now, the focus is on one-on-one with people. I always have felt that when you're speaking in front of 200 people, they have their own filters. They're selectively listening to what you're saying or not even listening at all. And, you know, that's just the process, the dynamic of, but there's also an energetic exchange that can be very transformative with a large group of people. But I also feel that working intimately, one-on-one, listening, deep listening, and also assessing or discerning what it is that they really want. Not everybody wants to discover their soul, but I hold that that's what's underneath them. That's the credo of my work, is that they are souls endeavoring to find out who they are.
Now, I've experienced with you the 200 people, and you bringing 200 people to tears, because they are all paying attention and they are all listening. And it was very profound to be in that audience as I was. And then I've also connected with you where we've had one-on-ones and that very deep soul connection. And both were amazing. And so at the end of the day, when you've worked with a client and they walk away to go live their life, would you say that the goal was that they have found themselves and that they can handle whatever comes their way, because now you've shared with them tools and maybe perspectives that they didn't even know about themselves?
Well, we hope for so much. People, we as people, it's almost like we forget, and then we remember, and then we forget, and then we remember, because we're in the human experience, we're caught up a lot in the images and thought patterns and group think and everything of the world. It's a real challenge to remember, and that's why we have tools, affirmations and denials of appearances, and to really retrain our thinking and our consciousness and our emotional state. And that's why, you know, one of the most profound questions we can ask ourselves is, who am I? Who am I in this moment? Have I forgotten myself? Am I in anger or in fear? Or am I remembering the higher nature of my being? Very, very important. Ongoing discipline. It's a discipline. Real transformation, you know, sometimes people just want to feel a little bit better. Nothing wrong with that. But if we want real transformation, real moving from A to B, and B being a clearer, more loving, centered state, then that's what I'm about. You know, I'm not interested in just giving people pep talks. I'm beholding their soul and inviting them to discover that. We'll discover it together.
I am looking forward to that. Would I be able to find you on a Facebook, or are you doing an email list? How can I follow you, Bruce? How can I follow you and what you're doing?
I prefer to see it as walking together.
Walking together. I love that.
But I think on our new website, we're going to be launching here pretty soon. All the contact information will be there.
Fabulous.
And this website will be promoted on Facebook and other mediums, social mediums. So it's going to get launched here, I think, within the next few weeks, and there'll be opportunities for people to connect with me and me with them, and we'll do our part. And because I feel that our work on ourselves promotes the whole, because we're all interconnected. We will be lifted up and assist others because there's a field, right? There's a unified field that we're all connected. And subtly, very subtly, these things work together for the higher good.
I know that to be true, having experienced you, not only in the group setting, but just, again, partnering, working together side by side in offices. And I know that your value, because people that I have met that have experienced you, Bruce, are better for it. They're a better person. They get it. And I look forward to ongoing conversations of what you're doing and where you are. I know you're at the beautiful Klamath Falls, but your musings from your walks, I know you have so much to share and so much to give, because that's who you are. You are a sharing, giving person. And I really look forward to learning more about what you're doing. And so with that, we're going to thank Bruce Kellogg, and an advocate for people, a guide for people, a mentor, and just someone who we can go to and know that the world, that he'll teach us how to look backward at ourselves and know who we are. I know that to be true. So this is Tell Your Story Productions, and we want to thank Bruce Kellogg for all that you are.
Well, thank you, Bonnie, and thank you for agreeing to meet with me and interview me, and thank you for your kind words. Yeah, appreciate it very much.